anybody in the great state of Ohio to do that. So we were able to change the prison reform, and something that that people had wanted changed for 25 or 30 years. We got it done in 6 months. We had an issue here in the state where you had to have multiple prime contractors. If you want to build a big building up here at Ohio State, you have to hire a prime contractor to do heating, cooling, lighting. I don't know much about this, but I know it's extremely expensive. And if you built your house with multiple prime contractors, you probably wouldn't be able to afford it. So what we did, and this was in the law for 124 years, we said one prime contractor. Gordon Gee helped us out on this. And now he says in building these big buildings and these big projects at Ohio State, he'll save 20 to 30% on the cost of that building by doing away with multiple prime. Now that should translate into some stabilizing of costs for kids who go to college. And you know, that's our most rapidly increasing cost in our society today, is the cost of higher education. So it's a significant thing to be able to get that change to create the single multiple prime. I mean, I can go on and on. I mean, this is a big, thick budget bill. But I will also tell you that we also looked at K through 12 education. And we lifted the cap off of charter schools. And we also said that in failing schools, where kids are not doing well, we have gone from 15,000 school vouchers to 30,000 to 60,000. I think that's the most dramatic and significant increase in the country for giving poor mothers and fathers a chance to rescue their kids from failing schools. And I think rescuing kids from failing schools is one of the most important civil rights projects that we have in the country today. And if you haven't seen Waiting for Superman, watch it over the Thanksgiving holiday. Rent it, buy it, watch it, and tell people about it. Because we must rescue kids from places where they're not learning, because we're cheating them out of their future. Okay? We're working to remove a lot of the rules that the universities have, where we can treat them as adults and not as children. We'll free them up to do more things and put them in a position of where they can work to save money. Now, on the tax cut side, we decided that it didn't make a lot of sense for a person to have to visit the undertaker in the Ohio Department of Taxation on the same day. So we killed the death tax, so you can pass your business on to your kids. I would presume you would like that proposal. And it is now going to be. We maintained a lower income tax, got it under 6%, but I have to tell you, if you have a stake in a business, and you built that business, and you now want to sell pieces of that business, if you live in Florida, you pay a 15% capital gains rate. If you live in Ohio, you pay a 21% capital gains rate. Now, Kasich, you're not all that smart, but let me ask you this question. What would you rather pay in taxes to the government, 21 or 15?
0.
But 15, okay? Well, you see, so we still have an issue here with an income tax that's too high. And this is not about some philosophy here. This is about what makes sense. How are we going to keep the best and the brightest here in the state and investing in the state? We also, by the way, and this is the thing we're just rolling out now, the media at some point will catch up to this, hopefully before the end of the decade. We are rolling out a program called Invest Ohio. Now, you all ought to pay attention to this. If you invest in an Ohio small business, okay, an Ohio small business, and you were able, you hold that investment for 2 years, you get a 10% tax credit against your income tax here in the state of Ohio. That's a big goddamn deal, right? So you want to invest in your kid's business, or you want to create a new business? Well, this is an opportunity for you to be able to do that and be rewarded for doing it. Why did we do this? Because Ohio does not have a lot of capital that flows into the state of Ohio. If you don't have a lot of capital flowing into the state, well then, how are you supposed to build anything if you don't have any money that gets invested? And we geared this to small business for a couple of reasons. One is small business is the linchpin of job creation. It doesn't happen in the biggest businesses. I mean, they all matter. I'm going to have some significant announcements tomorrow up in the northern part of Ohio. Very significant announcements. But it is not just the big business. It's the smaller businesses are the ones that thrive and create the jobs. Secondly, I happen to like entrepreneurs. Because, you know, if you take a hired gun at a big business, not all the time. That's an improvement, Craig. Not all the time. See, before I would say, right? But not all the time. But you have hired guns that, you know, they take over these companies, they can give a hoot about. They want their golden parachutes. They want their high pay. I mean, they're not committed. They don't want to get in trouble. They don't want to speak out. And they don't want to say anything. When you take entrepreneurs, they're people that will stand up and fight for the principles that reward success from an economic point of view. And what is that? Government is a last resort, not as a first resort. We need government. It ought to be centered. It ought to be focused. It ought to be strong, but it ought to be excessive, and it ought not to be nitpicking. And in that regard, by the way, we also are moving forward on the CSI, the Common Sense Initiative, to remove silly rules and regulations that get in the way of businesses that are trying to function. And we have been successful in that regard. We just were able to get Menards to add, a couple hundred jobs up approximately up in the Toledo area, because they could ship trucks in with a heavier weight and we could ship them out. Changed, gone, done, fixed, okay? There are regulations in this state that strangle small business people. Now I have to tell you, it's not no regulations, because it's essential that we have regulations that do things that protect the public safety and protect the environment. And I think we've exhibited that. I've particularly shown that on the Lake Erie bill, which I thought was destructive to the long-term benefit of Lake Erie. But there are also examples that relate to business, and we're in the middle of discussions now with the company. It's not meeting the rules. You meet the rules, that's great. It's not no rules, but it's common sense rules. And so we're working aggressively on all of that. We also, by the way, in the budget, created Jobs Ohio. Now I want to talk to you a little bit about Jobs Ohio. You know, what we found coming in here is that, and we've known this all along, that if you can't speak the language of business to job creators, then you might as well be speaking another language. And we have bureaucracy in the state that's moved too slow in terms of being responsive to job creation. 1963 was when Jim Rhodes created the Ohio Department of Development. Before that, I don't think we had one. Before that, we had Rhodes Raiders, which was made up of business people who spoke to business people, and then Rhodes formalized it through the Department of Development. So that was in 1963. That's 40, that's what, that's 70-some years. I believe every law ought to be looked at every 70 years. And what we determined is, if we could get the best and the brightest, and remove the shackles that they are hampered by in the government, we could get people to respond quicker. And so that's exactly what we did. We moved, we have made a not-for-profit entity called Jobs Ohio, and we are currently planning and have approval to move the liquor profits, which have been in the state since the 1920s, into Jobs Ohio, so they have the resources to get out there and do their job, and hire people who are qualified to talk. For example, I just talked to an insurance executive in New York City. I've got a person working in financial services who's a financial services expert. Now that's a remarkable thing in government. And you know what I told the guy? I said, no, we have a not-for-profit entity and we got a guy in there that actually understands your business. He said, I know, we're talking to him and we may be coming your way. So Jobs Ohio is designed to focus in certain areas that are really important. What are those areas? Well, one is agriculture. Now, we not only have Jobs Ohio thinking about agriculture, but we actually have the Department of Agriculture thinking about agriculture. What can we do to find new markets? What can we do in the area of advanced agriculture, bioproducts? You know, that's kind of the future. But people, you know, what can we do to be more productive? What can we do to... Agriculture is the foundation of Ohio. Let's stop treating it like, you know, a stepchild. And so we look at agriculture, and what do I mean by that? Processing, food processing companies, you know, seed companies, fertilizer companies, and advanced materials. I mean, this is all exciting stuff, and we are winning on that front. IT is another area that we focus on. Now, I was just at a cloud computing company that's expanded up in New Albany. You know, IT is really important. It is the wave of the future. So we think about what can we do to attract more IT companies. And I'll give you just one little example of the way that I think. And I'm not telling you this is going to happen, but I'm reading in the New York Times yesterday about how Google is thinking about constructing a system where you have a car without a driver. They've tested it apparently in California. I don't know that much about it. And they're talking about building this. So what do I think? I think, well, I'm going to call Sergey Brin. I know Sergey. Say, Sergey, have you checked out Ohio, the Midwest? We've got cool stuff happening here. That's IT, but it's manufacturing. It's a combination of all the above. We've never thought this way before. Or at least I've never heard that we thought this way before.